Everyone, welcome back to the Mark Loeffler Experience. We got a great show for you today. I have my namesake with me today, Mark LaFleur from True Local. Dude, man, I've watched you go from zero to hero in what, 2 years, 3 years now. Caught you on Dragon's Den. I mean, but you're all over the place. I mean, your Instagram following is amazing. You got to show me how to do that at some point. But guys, yeah. So, I mean, this is the content we want to provide. So if you like it, definitely subscribe, smash the like button, turn on that notification bell so whenever we do launch great stuff like this, you get notified. Anyways, Mark, welcome, my friend. Welcome.
Good to be here. I feel like for the listeners, we've got to make sure to clarify Mark Loeffler and Mark Loeffler.
Mark LaFleur. He's the French version. I'm the Austrian version, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's funny. Literally, I'll never forget, we did that charity event back in May, and my mom even, still to this day, I'll never forget how you wrote down Mark Loeffler, and she thought you were messing with her. She thought that you were trying to write my name down, and yeah, it's crazy how that works out.
Well, I mean, that's how we met, was in Montreal. We were at a networking event, and they screwed up our rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, oh yeah, here's your room. Oh, okay.
I still to this day talk about that event. That's honestly, that event changed my life. Introducing me to you and other awesome guys, and I think that was probably one of the best things I've ever done.
Yeah, I mean that was a great event. I mean, Rock does put on a great event. We should have Rock on this channel, actually. Guys,
yeah, no doubt.
Comment down below if you want Rock Thomas to come on. If we get 100 likes, I'm sure he'll come on.
Yeah, no doubt. And just, even for me, someone, and just like giving a little background on it, the whole idea was, you get a small group of really wealthy individuals, X amount net worth, things like that.
I don't even know. I don't even know that there was that, like, that everybody was that wealthy there, right? Like, I mean, I think the admission to that was like if you had $1 million net worth or not, right? Or more.
Wealthy to me wow. At the time.
Back then.
Back then, yeah.
Right.
But it was game changing for someone my age, right? Like, I think I would have been 22 or maybe 23 going into that. And, just getting exposed to that world and that type of experience, it was enlightening to kind of see how the other side lives. So.
Well, I mean, we talk about that all the time, is your network is your net worth, right?
Absolutely.
So you got out there and you hung out with some big boys, and I mean, you made some connections, obviously, and I'm sure you still talk to a lot of those guys today, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'll never forget, obviously, David Osborne, Matt King, those guys, talk to them every once in a while to give them updates on True Local. Obviously a few investors from there. So, always stay in touch with those guys, but it was a good event. And then obviously Nathan, the one who invited me to the event. So it was a good experience for sure.
All right. Well, I mean, we know that you're an Instagram star, that you grow businesses. So tell us about your business. Like, where did that come from? How did that, talk to us scaling? Just talk.
Yeah. All right. I'll start going on the rant. So pretty much for the listeners, I run True Local, and True Local right now is it's an online marketplace where people can go to get value-added meat products. So when we're talking about value-add, we talk about things like 100% grass-fed, pasture-raised, really focusing on what consumers are looking for nowadays. And the biggest thing is that there's a lot of challenges with getting transparency, and more so than claims like organic or non-GMO. People want to know where their meat's coming from. They want to know that the animals are being taken care of. They want to just get an understanding of the farmer or the butcher. So for us, that's where True Local started. It was all about getting products from Ontario's best suppliers, best farmers, best producers, getting them into one spot so that we can send them to everybody across the province. Because as a perfect example, there's amazing 100% grass-fed, grass-finished beef coming out of Peterborough, but people in Windsor might not be able to shop with that farm. Vice versa. We've got, even just using some of our, what's another good product? We have buffalo coming out of Jarvis, Ontario. And people in Ottawa don't get to experience that, right? So we want to centralize all that into a location and allow people to go to one spot and mix and match over 100 different cuts, which is what we're at now. We've got beef, chicken, pork, fish. The only stuff we have that's not from Ontario, obviously, being the wild caught fish. buffalo. You know, we're now operating in Alberta as well. We've got boar, we've got elk, we've got it all. And then
Oh,
on the
you
flip side,
gotta send me some boar.
I will get some of that for you. And we've boar
That'd be
bacon, we've
awesome.
got boar burgers, we've got a lot of really, really good stuff. And then on the
That
flip
sounds
side of that,
amazing.
yeah, it's good. It's definitely some good stuff. I've been living off a lot of that, like the buffalo, the elk, things like that are really, really up my alley. And after doing that, and of course, you know, that's been about 3 years, well, going into 4 years, 4 years in June. So next month,
Wow.
it'll be 4 years doing this. And we started off just in Ontario. Then we expanded into Alberta, then into BC. Between all those three provinces, we service all of Canada. We just recently expanded into the US. So for anybody in the Midwest area, we're now servicing you guys as well. And the whole model is around sourcing products from that province or state for residents of that province or state. So the whole idea is that if you're in Ontario, you're going to see products from Ontario suppliers, Ontario butchers, Ontario farmers. If you're in BC, you're going to see a whole different set of products from those suppliers. So it doesn't matter, you know, obviously in the US, same thing. In Illinois and Chicago, we're sourcing products from Illinois and Chicago for the Midwest. So that was the first year and a half, 2 years was really honing that focus. And, you know, from there, we started noticing there's a lot of other things going on in the industry. That whole idea of connecting you to the source and really understanding the supply chain, and especially regional supply chains. A lot of people are talking about national supply chains days and how arguably they're broken, right? You know, you're looking at all these meat headlines, and the whole idea is that they've centralized meat buying to 4 companies that are servicing 80% of the meat in North America.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, you hear about that, and it's like, oh, the plant has to shut down. You're like, oh, it's one plant. Who cares? And
Yeah,
it's like, well, it supplies 40% of the meat for
yeah,
Canada or the US, right? And then you're like, that's one plant.
yeah,
Like, and my mother-in-law is like, oh, I gotta go to the store and pick up and hoard meat. I'm like, no, just go on True Local and get a box. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it, right? So
yeah. And it's the most frustrating thing too, because you hear all these headlines about meat shortages and all this. And the frustrating part is there are no meat shortages. There's there's no shortage of animals. The farmers have the animals. However, the processing can't process these animals. So now you hear these horror stories in the US about them euthanizing pigs. You know, we're in a
yeah.
situation right now where we're talking about the world being more sustainable, and we're talking about food shortages even without the pandemic. And then you hear about how during a pandemic, you're now euthanizing animals. It doesn't make any sense. And that
No.
whole concept revolves around national supply chains. So what True Local is all about is regional supply chains. Our whole idea is that, look, you know what? Why not get from a farmer from your province? It's not like that cattle is being flown out to Alberta, processed, and flown back to the rest of Canada or wherever else. You know, this is all within the region. So
Well,
that's really been the focus of True Local.
I mean, it's truly shop local, right? Like you're just collecting it for everybody and packaging it nicely in a individually wrapped package so that I don't have to go buy half a cow, or I don't have to I don't know, like drive out to these places. It shows up on my doorstep. I mean, we'll put a nice little box here of what it looks like. But yeah, I mean, it's the most convenient thing ever, and it's one of the happiest times of my, my month when I show up and the True Local box is sitting there. I'm like, ooh, goodies.
I know, you definitely know you're gonna be eating good when that box shows up. And yeah, that was the whole other point, convenience, right? You order online. We now do 6-day-a-week shipping, so you know you're ordering online. That box is gonna come to you tomorrow, and it just saves a lot of time and headache. And for us, you know, there's so much buzz in the food delivery space, and now everyone knows the word D2C. You know, D2C wasn't a household name. Now it's really starting to become that because
So for everybody who doesn't know what D2C is, why don't you just briefly explain that?
Yeah, so D2C, direct to consumer.
Yes.
You know, it's had a few names over the past few years. You know, people know B2B, business to business. It used to be kind of B2C. That's how most people were talking about it, but it's really now evolved into D2C, direct to consumer. And direct to consumer really involves supply chains. It really does. Yeah. And kind of speaking to our testimony or speaking to it here, you know, we're trying to develop Canada's regional supply chains. So instead of you going to a grocery store, a centralized grocery hub, and then people go to this hub because it has all these different products in the grocery store. The whole idea of D2C is the suppliers will either sell to a distributor who will sell directly to the consumer. It's direct to consumer. And the whole idea is that it's being delivered using a last mile service of whatever sort, right? So, in the past, they say something like 3 to 5 years of e-com adoption has happened in the past, 2 to 6 weeks. So it's definitely an exciting time, yeah, in terms of being in that space. And I think that the biggest thing right now and the biggest opportunity is working with these smaller farmers and these smaller suppliers and these butcher shops and getting them more into the D2C space. People want to order online. Why shouldn't they have the ability to do so? So we just want to be the Canada's leader in working with value-added farmers, people that we can get the story behind, people that farmers and suppliers that people can support in their area. And then we just want to help them on the delivery side of it and make sure that that product can get to anybody in the province whenever they need it without having to rely on these huge national supply chains.
Yeah. I mean, and of course, anywhere in Canada now, like you deliver Canada wide. I mean, obviously, if you're ordering from the Maritimes, you're not getting Maritime.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, you're getting at least Canadian, and you can find out where you can source where it's come from, right? Like you go on your website, trulocal.ca, trulocal.ca. Like I can go look at all the farmers. I can look at thing, and I follow your chicken guys on Instagram, right? Like Hidden Root Farms, right? Like they're awesome.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things too is so the whole idea of us servicing all of Canada. So we operate locally in Ontario, Alberta, and BC, but we do ship across the country. So if you're in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, if you're in the East Coast, no problem. And you want 100% grass-fed beef, no issues. However, there's a disclaimer that'll let you know that, hey, we're not operating locally in your area, so the products are coming out of Ontario. So the true local to business is one thing. The true local model is what fuels that business. And the true local model is where we're operating locally, Ontario, Alberta, BC. So yeah, looking to expand.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait, man. I keep talking to all my American friends about you guys, and they say they can't wait to get it. So, I mean, dude, you were on Dragon's Den how long ago now?
Well, that would have been 2 years at least. So
it was February.
Ago.
Was it January or February?
Yeah,
okay, January.
January 18th, but who's counting?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You should know these things. I mean, I don't remember dates that well, but I mean, ask my wife for our anniversary. No, that one's easy. So, I mean, talk to me about that experience, because I mean, obviously, Dragon's Den, Shark's Tank, like this is like, I mean, not only is it a good platform to go pitch investors, but I mean, it's a huge marketing platform too, no?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And so Dragon's Den's I personally think it's a rite of passage in Canada. And it doesn't matter if you're, a lifestyle business that plans on doing $500,000 a year and that's your limit, or you're looking to be the next unicorn and you're raising $100 million. To be completely and totally honest, I think just as a personal development side of things, and then as well, just kind of refine your pitch and really see if you have a value proposition that makes sense, if you have product market fit. I think it's a really good rite of passage just to kind of go through the process, once again, for personal development and just for the sake of the business. So for us, we actually got talked into it. I've done a lot of pitching in my life. This is True Local's my third startup. And, I've gone through the entire process. We've done angels, we've done VCs, we've done that entire thing. And I've never really struggled super hard with pitching. I love to talk and I love pitching things that I'm working on, but there's a completely different.
You like to talk? I didn't notice.
Yeah, I know, right? So there's a completely different, feeling, or a different type of pressure that comes from doing it on the national stage on TV. It's really easy to get behind closed doors with an investor and kind of get a little bit more casual and, you kind of talk that way. But when you're doing it on national television, you're really on the spotlight, right? So for me, that was kind of the next frontier to be like, look, I can pitch no problem outside, but can I handle it when the heat's on? And we did, the whole process. I think it was in February. So February is typically when they'll do auditions. And the whole idea is that you sign up for their auditions. They do auditions across Canada. And then after the audition process, you get a call back saying, hey, you've made it to filming. And that's kind of step one. So we did auditions in Barrie because the whole idea is that, I forget the details, but the concept is that they take a certain amount per area. And it might have changed from where we were there. But if you go to Toronto or Waterloo, you're going up against a lot of people, the biggest and best ideas. It's a crowded space. So the whole idea is you kind of want to go to some of the smaller markets because you get a better look pretty much. So we went out to Barrie, and there's always a funny story. I like to show up to places early. Like if you ever deal with me, I'm typically pretty early for things. And we showed up 2 hours early. Just, we wanted to make sure we got in line and got the pitch in, and didn't realize that Barrie wasn't really going to be that big of a market for Dragons Den at the time. And it was to the point where it was at the college, whatever college is up there.
Georgian College, yeah.
What is it?
Georgian College.
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah. And we got there and there was nobody there, nobody around. We're like, holy shit, like, where is everybody? And what?
Did we get there? Do we have the wrong day? What's going on?
Absolutely. So we finally found a lineup of people. We're like, okay, this must be it. So we actually stood in that line of people and just not thinking. And by the time we got to the front of the line, they asked us for our student cards. And we just walked into like a test. So apparently they were about to write a test. So we, obviously backtracked out of there real quick. By the time we got back down, some of the producers started showing up. And pretty much you get like 5 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. And you do a quick pitch in front of the producers. They ask a couple questions. And then that's that. And then you're gone. So
is that pitch like the pitch you got to put on to thing, or is it just like a more basic?
Super basic. Like you get literally 5 minutes. Like, when you're actually pitching the Dragons, you're going to be there you should be there for at least 40 minutes. But like when you're pitching on the producers, they just kind of want to get a feel. Are you TV ready? Or are you going to make good TV because you're so not TV ready? There's a lot of different angles that they'll play on. But, you go through that process and then you wait a few weeks. And then the next step is to get a call to say, hey, you're going to go and actually film in front of the Dragons. So the whole idea here is you got to understand that just because you're filming in front of the Dragons does not mean that you're going to air. So it's 3 steps: audition, filming, and then airing. So throughout that whole process, we got the call back relatively quickly saying, hey, you're going to get to film with the Dragons.
Because you filmed in April, right?
April, yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember talking. Yeah. Okay, so
yeah, we
filmed in April, and you got on TV in January.
Yeah, so filmed in April, and the season starts in September, right? So you can air anytime between September all the way through to February or whenever the season ends.
Yeah,
and the whole thing is that they ask what day. So they film for 30 days, and once again, I might be might be a lot of some of this stuff, but they film for 30 days. And they ask you, hey, what day do you want to come into film? And I was like, I'm going to take the first day, which I didn't know. I'm like, that's either a huge gamble or a huge risk. I'm like, they're either going to come in like first day and be like,
they're going to be fresh, angry, or they're just going to be like, well, what am I doing here? I just got off the beach. I have to, do this. I can't go golfing.
Exactly. So I took, I'm like, look, let's go be an overachiever and we'll do day one and we'll set the tone and set the bar. So anyway, throughout that process, you refine your pitch, you work on it. And it's a real pitch. Like you need to go through everything. There's kind of stages of it if you think about it. And it's like any pitch really, but you're going to pitch, then you're going to do some questions, right? So we just worked on that from February to April. And then April came around and you go down to the studio and you're there. And it's definitely like, I hate the waiting. I hate that waiting process. So you're kind of waiting in the studio, just waiting to go up. And there was one person that went before us. So we were the second people to pitch the Dragons period that year. And the girl came out crying, the girl that came out in front of us. So I kind of I'm like looking at my co-founder, I'm like looking at Greg, and I'm looking at Irma. Irma was there too. And I'm like, oh, this can't be good. So anyway, we go in, do the whole thing. It was a great experience. It's exactly.
Neither you or Greg cried?
No, there's no crying. And even if we did, like, hopefully they would have edited that out. But there was no cry.
What was the girl on there, the vegetarian, who basically, like you said, you're out anyways, right? So,
hey, you're going to be in a pitch on TV, and either you're going to, you're either going to, stand your ground. Like it's obvious, right? What else are we going to say? It's either you're going to give them a platform to kind of cut it down, or you're going to kind of try to nip it in the butt. So for us, we knew that we were getting a lot of interest. You kind of feel how the pitch is going, and, lots of head nods, lots of kind of those soft signals. And, obviously, we're Michelle, Jim, Weck, all these guys, we're getting some good soft signals. Weck ended up pulling out, I can't remember now. I have to go back and watch it. If Joe.
We'll put a link in the description below for that episode.
Yeah.
On YouTube, right? Like you guys.
It's not on YouTube, but it's on CBC. So it's on
we'll put CBC link on here.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of went through the process, and we felt good the whole way through, to be honest. We got fortunate. I think that we went through the pitch well, at the time, and I still think today, there's a really strong value proposition. There's, local isn't a fad. People wanting to shop more local, support the economy locally. It's not a fad, it's a trend, right? And that's the big difference. You look at diets, they're fads, but a trend is moving towards local. So, at the time, I think they were really into it. Arlene was really into it. I was going to give her a big shout out because I really do think that her support in that pitch is really what flipped a few of the dragons. So,
yeah, well, I mean, so you ended up getting a deal. Can you talk about what like the process after? I don't even know if you're allowed to. I don't know what the rules are. So,
yeah,
I mean, let's be honest. Maybe only a couple hundred people are going to watch this anyway. So who knows?
It's okay. Well, by the time this blows up and people are backtracking it'll be different, right?
That's right.
But pretty much, yeah, we ended up getting a deal with Michelle and Joe. So getting ahead of ourselves here. So Dragon's Den's an amazing opportunity. Like I said before, I think it's a rite of passage. I think a lot of people should give it a shot. However, I don't think you should do it if you're looking for money. So we had raised money prior to going on Dragon's Den. We were already in a good spot. We really wanted the credibility. We needed the credibility. We needed to show people that this business model can make sense. Yes, you can ship meat in the mail. It's not ridiculous. Yeah. So we and the age-old tale, which is true, is that a lot of the deals that happen on the air don't tend to materialize outside of the studio. You're not going to go on Dragon's Den and be like, all right, I'm going to get $100,000, 40%, shake hands, walk away, and it happens. It's not the case. Yeah. I would say at best you get, contact information. And then you got to follow up and keep that process going. And that can change from a lot of different things, like every pitch. Maybe it's a situation where the Dragons genuinely, like, really excited about this, something really, really cool. Well, of course, it's a little bit different. But, they go through this show and they're getting pitched hundreds of times and they make, 30 or so deals. They're going to prioritize that. So anyway, we got Michelle and Joe. And we wanted to work with Michelle, obviously, just because of her influence. She understood what we were trying to do, experience in the e-commerce.
Yeah, she does a lot of e-commerce stuff, right? Like she was,
yeah.
What was she again? She was,
She was with Buytopia.
Buytopia, right.
With Buytopia. And she's just always, that's been her space. She's the youngest dragon on there, and the world is moving in that direction. So it made sense to have her as part of the deal. So anyway, we ended up doing a deal with Michelle and Joe, and then after, I would say it was probably a good 8 months, maybe 6 to 8 months of back and forth negotiation. The deal got rebuilt from the ground up. And I'm assuming, and I can't speak for, but I know a lot of the people that I've talked to that have been on Dragon's Den, it's a similar situation. A lot of it is you get their contact info. You can't really reach out to them for 30, well, depending on where you're at in the process. But for us, they were filming for 30 days. So obviously we couldn't even get in contact with them for 30 days. After that, we started setting up a phone call, did a couple phone calls. Then we started meeting in person, met in person a couple times. Then we kind of started working through the entire process. But that would have been, I guess, 2017, I want to say, something like that, 2017, 2018. But
well, it must
like
be
I said,
2018 because you did it in 2017.
It would have been,
and then it aired in 2018, and then you would have got the deal after that, right? Like,
well, no, we got the deal before. So we worked through, I think we ended up closing a deal with Michelle in December. So from April to December, that's how far and how much back and forth we had going on. And then we aired in January. And then they did a follow-up episode at the end of that season. So, for us, it went really well. Like I said, I think any advice for anybody looking to do business, I always think that you should have a Dragon's Den as a part of it. But once again, not as a financing part. I don't think that you should be banking on a Dragon's Den financing, but I think as a rite of passage, an amazing marketing opportunity, and just a way to kind of sharpen your iron, right? Is to go on Dragon's Den and pitch the Dragons.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people go on Dragon's Den and then can't fulfill the deliveries after, right? Like they're just, they don't have inventory. They don't have the money to build the inventory and that type of thing, right? So
yeah,
I mean, sometimes it kills people.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And that's like anything, right? There's a lot of, it was good, death by over demand is, better than death by, your business doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's true. And I think that's a lot of things. That's one thing that people need to realize with Dragon's Den, to say kind of, what are the tips? And the tips are so easy. Everyone wants a silver bullet to everything. It doesn't matter what it is. What's marketing? How do you grow your Instagram account? How do you get to X amount in revenue? How do you hire good people?
How do we get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube?
Exactly. Honestly, look, they're always the easiest answers. You want to do well in Dragon's Den, be prepared. Mm-hmm. There's no better thing to say. It's not even, you can pitch any business, even if it's a bad business, as long as you're prepared, understand your numbers. And I think as an investor, that's all people ever want to see, especially in your angel rounds. For people looking to get into business, of course, you've got your pre-seed, kind of family and friends round, angel rounds. Moving into, nowadays pre-seed seems to be a round in itself, but you got your seed round, then you go into VCs, and anything pre-seed. You really, the people they're investing in the person. They're investing in the market. Overall, what's the idea? What's the market size, and who are you?
Well,
So
to
you
be
can go on there.
honest, to be honest with you, this is what I talk about. I talk about when I invest in a business, I invest in a person, right?
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
every business I've ever invested in, I invested in the person. I mean, great. That's what you want to do. I think you're going to be successful doing whatever you're going to do here. And yet I think that's a good idea too. So
I totally agree. Like 100%. Like when you're, like I said, in that pre-seed stage, I've seen so many horrible ideas, like bad, but they're run by seasoned operators or just kids that got hustle, and they're going to make it work. Horrible idea, massively competitive, doesn't matter. This person's going to make it work, and vice versa. I've seen the best ideas in the world, like proprietary type stuff, new markets, things, but they're run by people that just don't have that factor, and they go under. So I'm a huge believer in doing it. So with the Dragon's Den and anybody in general, as long as you be prepared, and I see it so many times, the Dragon's Den, you get these people that go on there, they don't know they're in e-com, and they don't know their cost per acquisitions. They don't know their lifetime value. They don't know their retention and churn rates. Like, these are bare basics that if you can't easily have a conversation about that, dissect every single in and out of it, talk about the levers that are gonna change these metrics, it's hard to get it. And then alternatively, we're not in this space, but same with like manufacturing, same with SaaS, same with anything. If you go on there, you have to know your metrics and you have to know your business.
100%. All right. Well, I mean, we were talking just before we started recording. So after or during or whatever, you're going to teach a masterclass of how to take a business from 1 to 20 million. So give us a small masterclass. Give us the 2-minute version of that masterclass right now. What does that look like?
The first expose here. So, my biggest thing is that, throughout this journey, and, there's nothing else you can call it. It's literally a journey. I've had the benefit of meeting some really amazing people that have helped me along the way. And I think the best people that have ever helped me are the people that are just 1 to 2 steps ahead. People that have done the entire process, gone through it, great advice, but it's not as relevant to me because it's not as actionable, right? So the people that have really helped me have been 1 to 2 steps ahead. And I've met so many amazing people, founders that have done everything from $1 million in revenue all the way to $100 million in revenue. And I think that, with the experience that we've gotten through TrueLocal, I would really love to help kind of save some pitfalls from people that are trying to get to that, whether it be $1 to $20 million range. And a big thing too is when you see with online coaching and all this type of stuff nowadays, I think that online coaching is becoming a bit of a commodity. I think that there's 20% of the courses out there are real players that have real experience, that have done it and can prove that they've done it. And the rest is a lot of noise. People that are like, hey, let me help you do this, yet I've never done it myself. So for me, I would never want to speak to someone on trying to build a $50 million business. Yeah, we're not there, right? I want to talk about things.
Well, that's next year, so.
Yeah, okay. So I want to talk to people about what.
Don't poo-poo that. Like, I think you guys could do $50 million next year.
Well, with the way the space is going,
expansion into the States, that type of thing. I think
as long as consumers continue to move in the direction of wanting to support local, I think TrueLocal's definitely in a good position and in a position to help fulfill those needs. And if more and more people get on it, who knows, maybe we'll hit that number.
I think you will.
When
this interview blows up the internet, okay?
Exactly. That's all it is. If we can get this to take off, then we'll hit that 50 million.
Yeah, that's it. So it's going to be it's going to be everything Mark did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark.
So pretty much, yeah. Like I want to help, early stage entrepreneurs. I really want to help high school kids too. I think that, for me, when I was in high school, I struggled a lot in high school, everything across the board, everything from just, academically, I failed most of my classes. I had no motivation. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't understand that there was a world of business. I thought you had to go to, college, university, and you're going to be either, you're going to either go into the trades, you're either going to be, a scientist, a doctor, or, an engineer, something that your degree does. I didn't understand this was available. And I actually believe that I'm 29 now. I would have loved to see what opportunity I had if I understood business in high school. So I'd love to kind of help people in that range. Anyway, where I'm going with this is that, I get it all the time, everything, the smallest type things to take your first step. Like step one, I see it so many times, people taking 5 months to make a logo or come up with a name. Don't do that. Don't do that, right? Take action every single day on things that move you forward. Do you need an accountant? Things like, do you need a lawyer? Do you need a shareholders agreement? Should I hire someone? Should I hire a freelancer? Should I hire an agency? Do I need to hire a jack of all trades? Well, or do I need to hire someone who we can build up and groom? That's an amazing question. What's the idea? Do you want to hire experience or do you want to hire hustle? How do you scale ads? When do you scale ads? How much should you be spending on ads? These are $1 million questions that it took us 4 years to figure out, and they're not hard questions. These questions answer themselves. And the reason I know this now is because people taught it to me. And there's different strategies for different businesses, but the tools remain the same. If you can just understand these strategies and understand these different tools, really it becomes down to the entrepreneur to choose which tools and which strategies to do. So I'd love to just be able to showcase some of the tools and strategies that we've done to make us successful. Everything from, once again, really day one incorporation, all the way through to, hiring a management team and a leadership team to help grow the business, to national expansion. What does that look like? Dealing with opening up a US subsidiary, dealing with the IRS, just things just things that would hopefully help people in their journey. Let them know that, hey, you're not alone. Like, we all went through these struggles. And if it saves them a year or two of headaches and they could get to where we're at in 2 years versus 4 years, that's what I want to do. And like I said, I'd love to do this for first-time entrepreneurs, people that are looking to dive into it, people that are finishing up high school. That's kind of where I'd love to get into. So that's
nice.
Yeah.
So when are we going to be able to buy shares of True Local on the TSX?
Yeah, not in the foreseeable future, but definitely we love people's support. So the best way to support us right now is just to order a box. A big thing that's been going on with the pandemic is that a lot of these farmers, a lot of these suppliers lost a lot of their restaurant business, right? So if you guys really want to support, True Local, I always say, True Local, it's a platform. It's just a platform that lets you buy products from these farmers, from these suppliers. So it really goes a long way in helping support them. The more that we can get people onto True Local, the more product they're able to raise, the more product they're able to get across Ontario. So that's, I'd say, the best way to support right now.
Fair enough. All right. Well, we're coming to a close here. Words of wisdom. Somebody's out there going to look to start a business, start investing. Just give us a couple points of wisdom that you'd like to impart on everyone.
Yeah. The biggest thing right now, biggest piece of advice, honestly, right now, I think a lot of people are really kind of scared of what's going on in the world. I've been seeing a lot of these articles coming up, and I hope that a lot of people are seeing them as well. But you look at some of the biggest companies, period, some of the unicorns, the billion-dollar businesses today, they were all built in the recession, right? Yeah. They were all built in crisis. So for anybody right now that, is staying at home and fortunate enough to be receiving a check from the government, don't waste that time at all. That is, if you waste the time right now, if you're able, your friends and family are healthy, there's nothing really affecting you, but maybe you lost your job and you're able and you're in a position and you're just sitting around doing absolutely nothing, that's on you. That's 100% on you. I think right now, people are saying that if you're at home, able to still finance yourself, now's the time to be getting into business and finding new needs. The world of tomorrow is shaping itself a lot clearer than it did in 2008. 2008, you looked at it as more of a financial crisis. There was no money. Here, there's money left, right, and center being given out by the government, loans,
and just privately, for real estate and that type of stuff. There is so much money sitting on the sidelines right now.
Exactly.
There's just a lot of money sitting out there right now.
Yeah. So in my eyes, if you have any of that hustle or any of that bug, to start looking at what's going to happen in the next year, it's very obvious. E-com is taking off. D2C is taking off.
Look at, what is it, Shopify?
Yeah, of course. Shopify is an amazing story. You could textbook business, Canadian success story. They're blowing up. So, if you have any ideas, now's the time. So I would just tell anybody, if you have an idea, just don't sit on the sidelines anymore. You just got to do something, take action, buy that domain name, talk to a friend, get your first product, do that type of stuff.
Cool. Guys, Mark, thank you so much. My biggest takeaway right now, and it's not that this is a new thing for me, but it's just do it, right? Just move forward. Don't wait. Don't take 5 months to create a logo. Like everybody always asks me, Mark, what's your website? I'm like, well, I kind of don't have one. I don't need it. I mean, obviously you're website based, but like for most of it, I don't need any of that stuff. I'm like, go find me on YouTube, go find me here. Right. I mean, just take action. Like everybody gets stopped at that one little thing. Like if I don't have a website, I can't sell anything. And well, it's not true with that. With the platforms that are out there now, you can go and you can build something and never have your own website. Like just go out and move, right?
That's the thing. There's always a million things that need to be done in trying to build a business or a company. So don't let one thing hold you up. That one thing that's holding you up is the excuse that you are using to not focus on the other things that you could be using to push forward.
Yeah. And, don't be afraid to make mistakes. And everything doesn't have to be perfect. So if you put up how many iterations of your website have there been now?
Too many, and we're not going to discuss those websites in the past because those were some serious mistakes.
Well, there was the one time where I was like, I'm supposed to be getting a box now. Where's my box? Like,
yeah. Oh, that was an interesting time. That was when we just moved over to our new website. But I'm more or less talking about like our first iteration. Like when we launched 3 products, we had chicken breast, we had ground beef, and we had steaks. Right. And what do we want us to do? Wait another year until we have more suppliers? Of course not. Start, iterate. That's where you get the feedback. That's where you get all these better ideas. And understand that you're going to, like, if you go into business and think that you can't make a mistake, like you're like, I got to make all this right, you're already going to fail. Yep. You're going to make mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. The whole thing about being a founder is that you don't lose 1 ounce of motivation. You just find out ways not to be doing it. You find out things that aren't working and you iterate towards the way that does. So,
well, I just say fail bigger, faster, and you'll be the biggest success out of everyone.
Absolutely. So you only got to be right once, right? In business, the beautiful thing is you only got to be right once.
Yeah, you only have to be half right sometimes. So
yeah, it's true. Yeah. No people that are wrong that are making it.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, Mark, thank you so much for spending time with us this morning. I really appreciate it. And yeah.
I was going to say no problem. No, I appreciate being on. It's always good to reconnect.
Good. All right, brother. Thanks so much. And look forward to this. And we'll definitely be posting it on social media. And we'll tag you in it so you can watch it and see how we do it. It won't be perfect.